All right. Hey, Dave.
Hello.
Thanks for being on the podcast with me.
Welcome. Super excited here.
Awesome. All right. Dave's a good friend of mine in San Antonio, and he's been flipping for how many years now?
Going on 8 years.
8 years. And when did we first meet? Do you remember?
Probably 6 or 7 years ago, I think. Something like that.
Was that with the group with Eric?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Was it that long already? That's crazy.
I know. We might have before then, because I know we did a couple other deals previous to doing we were talking with Eric and that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think you've had the Super Dave thing since before that, right?
Yes.
Okay. For the people watching on YouTube, flippingjunkie.com / I'm sorry, YouTube. I do that every single time. YouTube.com/flippingjunkie. You can tell which one I feel is more important. But I'm going to share this on that for people watching. There's a Super Dave. That's an awesome graphic. I love that. All right. So I want to keep it up for like half of the show. Now we won't do.
Looks better than me in person. So
No, I like it. I think it's really cool. Did you do much advertising with that? So for the people that aren't watching on YouTube that are listening to the audio, it's Dave, dressed as Superman, with the skyline of San Antonio behind him. And it's a cartoon. It's really cool.
So the funny story behind that is a friend of mine had that made for me. And part of it is because I just won't give up on deals. Kind of hard-headed like that. And so it doesn't matter how difficult they are. I just keep at it, keep following up, and keep working it to get the deals done. And sometimes you're pulling a miracle out of it to get them closed. But that has always served me well, and I'm always done that. So a friend of mine made that up for me. So
That's awesome.
I use it. I've never marketed. I've never used it marketing. I should, but I never have.
I think you should. I know it's definitely better than Eric's alien ideas. I'm sorry to say that, Eric, if you're listening, but
yeah, Roz.
Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. All right. Well, Dave, I'm super glad to have you on the show. And we had met. Was it last week or was it already 2 weeks? It was 2 weeks.
It's about 2 weeks now. Yeah.
Yeah. We had lunch, and Melissa joined us, and then you were here at the office, and you got a sneak peek of Flip Pilot, and we'll get your input on that a little bit later on the show. But decided to get you on the show to tell your story and want to hear more about the progress that you've made over those 8 years and where you're at. So if you would just start with, what got you interested in real estate. What was that first sparked that desire to get into it?
I mean, I wanted to be in real estate since I was a kid, really. It's always been interest to me, always helping, family work on houses, always liked it. And then it's probably like the majority of us in the investment business is you get that Rich Dad, Poor Dad book and you're like, that makes a lot of sense. Put that on the bookshelf and never did anything with it for a long time. And as you know, I got into the marketing business and did a lot of marketing and printing and databases and did a lot of it for investors. And a handful of them really are still really good friends of mine that I'll help out with some of that marketing here and there. But it also kind of helped me get into the business. And so they just kind of helped me kind of kick my butt a little bit and get into it. And then once I did, never look back. And so it's been good. I've done a little bit of everything. But I got into it wholesaling, and always liked it. And I still do it to the day, but couple of years of that, I was like, well, this is fun for making money right now, but I'm lazy. I don't want to work forever. So I soon started looking at for what was best for what I wanted to do. And the strategy is just the BRRRR strategy before it became popular. And so we started doing that with being a partner of mine. And so we just started picking up some rental properties and buying them and, buying them really bad. And a lot of people that know me will know that I will buy them, and it doesn't matter how they look. It seems like the worse shape they are, it's when they call me. Everybody passes and I'm like, sure, you can't walk through the floors, I'll take it. But I look at it a little differently. I look at it's the same process. It's you're still rebuilding it, and it does, just because it looks bad, you're still doing the same process. And so it doesn't bother me a bit. And a lot of times I get better, and I get better deals on those typically. And so at the end of the day, I'm in them for less money. I got a better return on my money. And so those are what I look at. They used to be, every day I'd get one calling me, but now they're getting tough to find that are good deals, just with our climate that we're in right now. And a lot of people would say that. So we still do that. And we do some flips every year. Not as many. We're actually trying to gear up to do more of them than probably I have in the last 3 years. Just, kind of changing up what we're doing. So
awesome. So you said you were doing did you say burn process before everybody? Before
process.
Was that?
The BRRRR, they talk about it a lot on, about when you buy, and you buy, repair, refinance, and then repeat, basically. So you buy the rental properties, we buy them cash, fix them, and then refi out with the bank, and go do it again. So you're in little to no money on most of those deals if you buy them right.
Wow, I can't believe I've never heard that before. I don't think.
You probably have. or like when I heard it, I was like, I've been doing that for several years. That's interesting. So it wasn't new to me, but the name that got associated with it was new to me. So
okay. See, you said it first, and I was thinking, did he say burn process? Like you're buying burn properties?
We like to burn them down.
Don't say that. Edit, cut. No. Yeah. So what's spurring the change, the transition then from the wholesaling to doing some more of the rehabs, just because of the difficulty in getting enough deal volume?
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the market is being driven upward with the wholesale market. We all know there's tons of wholesalers. Everybody wants to be a wholesaler. It's fantastic. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't do the work, don't really know what rehabs are. I mean, so it's getting a lot of watered down product out there. And so a lot of it, I've just got to buy higher than I can really want to wholesale it. So I'm just buying it and flipping it. Keep the machine going. So it's, you still get the wholesales, but you can also not turn away some too and just flip them. So.
All right. Nice. Well, what does it look like for you now? I know you were working with some of the investors, I think, that you were doing marketing for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that process work? How did it happen to where did you approach those guys and say, hey, I want to get in this business too? What was that process of you learning the ropes and getting into the business?
I mean, I think it was just, continually talking to them when I'd sell them, databases, do their mail, kind of talking to them. And then them just saying, hey, would you be interested in it? And I'm like, sure. Had a couple meetings with them and I said, sure, why not? Wife was a little bit worried about going, 100% commission, because I had built up a good base in the marketing business. But it's like sales. I never was worried about it. And like I said, I started and never looked back, and just modify as you go along and hopefully grow as, depending on what you want to do in real estate. And so my choices aren't the same as somebody else's, but that's what works for me, and it's what I like doing. And I still talk to them guys. I still sell them homes. I buy from them sometimes. So it's a good relationship.
Good, good. So what capacity were you when you started working with them and you were on sale? You were just commission based. What capacity were you working?
I just, as like acquisitions. I mean, I'd buy and sell both. So it's just I think it was an eye opening. I think you always have that disbelief that when you're not in our business, I always say, no one's going to sell a house for that little of money. Why would they're crazy? You know, they could list it, or they could spend a little bit of money and make a lot more money. Because that's how my mind would work. But I quickly realized that they don't think like I do, and they've got other reasonings for taking a, low but fair offer from an investor. And so those reasonings were interesting. One that still is interesting to this day, is always interesting, is they don't want agents or anyone walking through their house looking at their property for sale. And it just always is a little bit mind-boggling why they wouldn't want that when they're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table just because of that. But
yeah, it's amazing.
That's what they want. That's what they want.
Right.
Not here to make them decisions. Just here to solve a problem.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think a lot of people struggle with that transition, right? Of thinking in terms of yourself and your circumstances and trying to relate to other people's circumstances and why they would ever want to sell a house for a little bit less. And it's hard. And I think a lot of people avoid doing motivated seller marketing because of that, right? It's just, they think that, if they're going to do that marketing, they're going to be dealing with people that are, stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you're going to be taking advantage of them. And it's because you haven't, gone out there and actually spoken to the people that we mostly deal with. What's the percentage of people do you think that you work with, that you buy homes from, that are truly like stuck in a super hard place where they got to do something right away?
10%.
Would you say like 10%?
Yeah, about 10%.
It's just a
there's
small.
not a lot of them. Yeah, it's really not. I mean, I don't employ the strategy of I'll close your house quick, because 9 out of 10 times that is not the main factor for them to sell you a house. And so I let them decide on when they want to close. And so, some people will push, a lot of people actually want to push them to close 5 days, 7 days. I'll do that, but it's really what you want and what you need. Because a lot of people, they need a lot longer than 5 or 7 days, unless it's like that 10%. So.
Yeah, some people actually see that as a bad thing, right? They're like, oh, so you're going to close in 7 days. I need to be out that fast, or do I need to get all my stuff out? And they're kind of stressing about it. I think they were.
Yeah, we just bought it. We just bought a house, and the guy wanted 2 months, and I said, okay, is that what you need? And I said, I'd prefer it be closed to be a little bit sooner. I said, but if that's what you need, then that's fine. I said, can I help you, get what you need out of the house and move the closing up? And he said, sure. But one of his factors is he's got 17 cats left in the house that he needs help figuring out where to go with them, and doesn't want them killed. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, no problem. So we'll work through that. But that's you can't figure that out typically in the next couple of days because of schedules and other things going on. And he's got to go through the house and get some stuff out, and it's a hoarder house, and it's gross because there's cats. So it takes a little bit of time. And so you have to understand that they have other needs besides just getting a check and going on. Most of them are that way. So
besides giving an extended closing date, what are some other things that you find people are more interested in than the fast closing date or more money?
It really just helping them. They might need help with moving, help with finding a place to go. It's just truly taking it more of a personal approach besides just a cut and dry business approach. And some of it's, easy. Yeah, we're good. We'll take care of it. Okay, cool. But if they need help finding a place, happy to accommodate that. It's really what they're coming at us at and what they really need. Because most of the time it's really not that much, but going that extra step for them is very important to them. And I'm happy to accommodate that.
Nice. And I bet you get quite a few deals, even when you're offering a little bit less than somebody else because of that, right?
Oh yeah. The one that wanted 2 months, he told us, he's like, you were a lot lower than the other people, but the time and the willingness to help us take care of these things is worth more than the extra money.
Yeah.
So money's not everything.
Right.
So a lot more to this business than everybody getting a bunch of money and driving their Ferraris, like Joker out, I mean, there's a lot more to it. It's a very personal business, and that's how I look at it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why we're friends. Like we both are sort of the same way in that respect. The whenever you go to these appointments to make an offer, to look at a house, and you're still doing that, right? I think you said the other day you're still going to appointments.
Yeah.
What is your process like? Do you actually take the time, if there's a place to do this, to sit down on the couch and talk with them? Or do you kind of go through, look at everything, and then like make an offer?
It's depending on how they are. Most of the time it's you're walking through the house and then either talking when you're walking through there or sit down and talk afterwards. I've got a bad habit, and I've been made fun of a lot, that you sit me down in front of somebody and next thing you know, I'm drinking coffee and it's 2 or 3 hours later and we're sitting there talking and we haven't even talked about the house yet. But also I always tell them it's also my strength.
I was going to say, I don't think that's a bad habit in this situation.
Yeah. But it's, I'll go out and look at a house on Saturday or Sunday, and I tell my wife, I'll be back in about 30 minutes to an hour. No big deal. It's 4 hours later. Where are you at? I'm like, I'm still at the house. Where are you going to be at? I'm not sure. We're still talking about so-and-so's family member or something. Right. So, and part of that is when they're comfortable with you, then talking about the house and going through that process, they're comfortable working with you and letting you know really what needs to be done, and what they need help with or don't need help with. And then when you start asking them specific questions on what you're going to need or what title company's going to need, they're more willing to open up and do the deal with you. And so taking a little bit of time to care about them and what's going on in their life usually helps out at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I think people that progress to a point where they've got team members and different people going to appointments and doing the different aspects of the business, the lead intake and the acquisitions, there's probably a lot of people out there that have the tendency to start missing that kind of thing, where it ends up being this conveyor belt and like someone goes on an appointment and they've got one set for an hour after that and they've got to go 20 minutes to get to it, and they're kind of rushed.
Yep.
And you're having to do more and go to more appointments because you're not getting as many deals, because you're not spending the time like you are there at the house and really doing the necessary thing and building that rapport and having them, get to know who they're working with better.
Yeah. And that's, and it's important for us that we have that relationship. And sometimes I'll fair warning, like if a real estate agent says, brings me over to a house, and I'll say, well, fair warning, I might be here for a while talking to them. And they're like, yep, you were right. So, but again, it goes back, and the guy that works for me, Adam, he's the same way. I mean, you got to care about who you're dealing with, because if you care about who you're dealing with, the sales come along, the houses come along, everything kind of falls in place. If you just care about making a quick 5, 10, 20, whatever that is on a wholesale, you might make 1 or 2 here, but you're not going to last. That's how I look at it. So, not looking for the quick dollar, I'm looking for long-term. So, right. And if I see him out at a restaurant or see him somewhere, I'm happy to go approach him, happy to see him. And the other thing we get repeat business. Hey, we sold, my grandma's house to you. a friend of mine needs help, and could you come look at that? I know you took care of them. And so we get a lot of that repeat business and a lot of referrals now, which is really what most of my business works off. We don't really do any advertising anymore.
Wow.
So.
That's amazing. That's and then in a big city like San Antonio, for that to work and work well, because my dad has that a lot where his name is out there in the referral. A lot of what he does is kind of referral based just because people know he's in a smaller town. But to hear that in a bigger town, San Antonio, just goes to show like, yeah, I mean, there's so many benefits to running your business the way that you guys do. And I think that's one of the things, like when the market is eventually going to change, right? Like we're not always going to be going up, or it's going to flatten out, and who knows? And I think it's guys like you that will weather those storms because they're able to make more out of less. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. And I thought the storm would have hit 2 years ago, but it's finally coming a little bit, but it's still a lot better than I expected it to be still. So, but
right.
we deal with what we got. So,
right. Do you have any, what's it called? I mean, what do you think might happen over the next year? Predictions?
I think you're going to see more of slowing. I think you're going to see prices dropping. Certain areas that are definitely overpriced are going to come down. Interest rate is certainly going to help bring those prices down. And some of it's just gotten so silly that they got to come back to normal. And it might come down, but it's still really good. So it might change in 2 or 3 years, but next 12 months, I think we're going to still see some decline. And it's much needed really in a lot of areas. It's just gotten too silly. So.
Right. But you don't think it'll be anywhere to the same extent of what happened in, 2007?
I don't think in the near future it will be, but I think that, or one major event probably away from a lot of that happening, because it's so silly market right now, and as a whole anywhere. So the world economy, I think, is a player in our small real estate markets. I think that there is things that could happen that really could spin it down faster than we'd want. There's a lot less of those factors too that there were 10 years ago as well, but
right.
There's still some there. So we just try to be mindful of it, and
right. So maybe some of the same, but some of the big ones that caused the last one aren't there now, with people getting exorbitant loans that they could never afford, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife was coming back from vacation. She went to go see a friend from Seattle, and she sat next to a mortgage broker, and he said, "Man, in Seattle, everybody's putting like 40-50% down in cash." I was just like, "Wow, that's a lot." And he's like, "Yeah, it doesn't really matter what it's worth. That's what they're putting down." I was kind of shocked about that. And I was like, well, if the market changed a lot, they're still not going to lose their house because they've got so much cash down in the house. So hedge that. But not a lot of areas are that way, at least to my knowledge. So.
Right. Yeah. I'm still kind of blown away when I see some numbers for some areas in San Antonio, what things are selling for.
Yeah. And then when you go file your taxes, sometimes you scratch your head saying, really, it's this much. And there's comps that say it's worth a lot more, and you're like, man, maybe I should sell.
Right.
But it's over time it goes up, and so that's what we got. So we'll keep working with it.
Right. So you doing the rental properties, and were you talking about wanting to do more owner financing stuff, or?
No, just more flips, and just keep buying more rental properties. Yeah.
Okay.
Our buddy Eric is big on owner finance. I've never done it. It's just not as interesting to me per se as the rentals. So
why not? I'm curious. Why do you prefer the rentals over the owner finance? And owner finance in the way we're speaking about it for people listening is when we buy the property and then we owner finance it to the end buyer, not us getting owner financing to buy the property.
I mean, I look at it as when the house is paid off, it's my asset, and I can keep it going forever. And I look at the loan as they could refi out whenever they wanted, and it's got an end date no matter what. And so you kind of have to keep working. I look at it, unless someone can show me another way and why, but you got to keep building that inventory of homes. And so I just was like, I'm going to keep building, and then I'm stopping and not working as hard. And so I don't want to keep working. That's not why I want to start buying rental properties. I wanted to build it up and then pull back a little bit. And then probably keep working. I'll always keep working because it's fun, but I don't need to work as many hours as I do some weeks. So.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah. It's having that freedom, and that freedom doesn't mean not having anything to do. It's having the choice to do what you want to do and work on what you want to work on.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Do you have a sort of like 5-year, 10-year goal for rental properties or anything like that?
5-year, probably be about 120 more rentals. And in 10 years, we're looking to try to get to 300.
Wow.
So that's kind of, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm still fine where I'm going to end. So
well, if it happens, it's going to be really.
I'm mindful of working too hard when I got kids in school because they're priority. So, but now that they're back in school, I can kind of go back to work a little bit, because when it's summertime, I don't work that much. So,
yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of properties are you looking for? What kind of properties are you buying for these rentals? What do these numbers look like, if you don't mind sharing? The typical rental that you look for, that you like to get.
We buy probably a little bit different than most, but I rent to a lot of, lower income. And our philosophy is we make them a nice property, and sometimes too nice for the areas. But we believe that they should have a nice place to live, and it's nice where I would live there myself. And so to this day, I have not had a lot of real damage to my properties. There's always going to be the one that, causes some, but nothing like that's really, really, really bad. So does it hurt our numbers a little bit? Sure it does, because we're spending a little bit more money making them nicer. But also we get top dollar rents, because it's real easy to compare us to the next guy. They might not like the layout of it, but they don't ever complain about the quality of it and how nice it is. So that helps us out, in that respect. And so, we just look at, a return, and then we just kind of work from there. I like a lot of multifamilies, like duplexes and fourplexes. And then we've got houses as well. We kind of keep a good blend of it. So.
Yeah. And you told me about some of the areas that you like to buy in, and I was, kind of surprised that you do rehab them nicer, because some of those areas, I know that, people go in as cheap as possible and just rent them out, and, to make that investment. So do you find you have much better tenants that last longer when you do that?
It comes down to screening them. But you've got a little bit better, I think, people to pick from too, because they see that it's nicer. You get some of the people that may not go over there because of the cost, because we're going to be a little bit higher on rent. But once they look at it, they're like, yeah. And so we can be a little more picky and choosy on them. But it's kind of like when I was talking to your wife, and it's like, she's like, you do IKEA cabinets and all your rental properties too? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, I do. We make them nice. And so it's just kind of one of the things that we, kind of our core business beliefs in rental properties is making them that way. You can cut corners in that business, but you're going to go back and fix it later. So you might as well just fix it right the first time and use quality stuff. Because if you don't use quality, it breaks. You're going back out to fix it. You're replacing it. It ends up costing you, 3 or 4 times more than if you just bought the quality product, and spend a little bit more up front. So
Yeah. So it's like you're going to spend the money either way, whether you think so or not. You might as well do it up front, get better tenants, and charge more.
it's exactly right. It's exactly right.
So are there any kind of certain materials that you use that you find wear better? Any kind of top secret, super Dave, like rehab tips for rentals that, besides that IKEA cabinets? I mean, that was a good tip.
I do like my IKEA cabinets, and I do like that they're the wear factor they've got, the durability, and if something gets damaged, like a door on it, I can just go buy one door. And so I do like that. I do use a lot of their products now, with a lot of research that I've done, like faucets and things like that. They're actually brass made. Well, the brass lasts longer, but they're actually really fair priced if you go look at a Moen that's actually brass and not the Home Depot version that's watered down Moen. So I do use some of those things, and I look at the everyday use stuff. I'm probably, the first few properties I did, sure, I was like, I didn't know I would use the cheaper stuff, and I'm like, this doesn't work. It's the stuff that gets used every single day. Door handles, I buy the more expensive door handles so they don't break. And just, little things like that, anything that gets touched and used all the time, I will usually go up in quality on materials. I'll even go to use solid doors now instead of the
That was my next question. Actually, I was thinking of a door with a hole punched in it.
Yep. Well, I've been there. And so, if we're switching doors out, I put solid doors in. I know it costs more money, but.
And I hope somebody doesn't try to punch it.
Yeah. People don't usually put their fist through them too often. Or a kid messing around, puts their, runs into them and puts a hole in it. It's those things that's just kind of common life stuff that happens in anybody's house that if I can stop that from breaking all the way, then it saves me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And time to deal with it. So, the plumbing issues I've always made, make sure there's a clean out on your sewer line, because they're always going to back up, or who knows what they're going to put down the line. One thing that I have been really considering doing sooner than later is buying a camera and scoping all my sewer lines, to know if they're broke, where they're broke, how long I can not fix it, or do I need to fix it right now? I'm just kind of, this year has been a year for plumbing issues for some reason. It's all been sewer lines, and they've all been breaking. And they're old. Most all my properties, or actually all of them are old. And so if they haven't been replaced, they're, old clay, and they break, or a tree root breaks them. And so I've really been considering investing that money in them, because I call a couple of plumbers that I use, and they don't even own a camera. I'm like, why don't you own a camera? So I'm going to go buy a camera.
Yeah, there's a company that was doing it pretty inexpensively for us. I think it was called Sewer Vision. Mm-hmm. You maybe look them up, but Sewer Vision, they were doing it for pretty inexpensive, and it made sense to not have to, even if we owned one, to not waste the time having to go and do it ourselves. Of course, then you have to also trust that what they're telling you, all the breaks and stuff, because they want to do the work afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's handy when you have a foundation problem, you're lifting it and you break, you can just scope it yourself, or have the guys. So we've got one main guy that works for us, and I can train him on it. So it's just trying to be better prepared on what you're going into. And if you want to buy a house and you're questioning it, you can just go send your own guy over there to camera it and know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting for a plumber or somebody else to do it, you can just go schedule it yourself. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm curious too, because I don't ask people often, but just thinking about it now, how did you learn the process of fixing up houses? I mean, did you know anything about construction and fix up whenever you got into this business? I think you had mentioned something about working on houses with your family before you got into the business.
Yeah, I mean, I would help my stepdad a lot, just fixing up house or on the farm, and go work on a little. We had my mom and stepdad had a little farm I'd go to. We'd work on there. I did not like working on the farm that well, but you still kind of learn some things. But really, I tell people to me, it's just kind of common sense. how houses go together and but a lot of people, it's really confusing to them. And so I said, it's just one thing that really fits and it's easy for me to do. And just get common sense on it. So it's not like I was a builder before or a remodeler before. It was literally my own stuff I've ever did, and just kind of the normal process of how things should go. So.
And it seems overwhelming, but when you break it down, like how many different areas of the house are you really having to check on? Like, there's windows, there's doors, there's roof, there's foundation, there's plumbing, AC, the HVAC stuff, things like that. There's not a whole, and then water heaters maybe.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that you need to know about. And the first couple properties that you do, having, somebody come over that knows a little bit better and can tell you, you learn. Then the next one, it's not a big deal. But most houses are going to need the same stuff, right? Like every time.
Oh yeah. And that's what like I was saying before, is that even if it's got the more problems it has, it's still the same process. It doesn't matter. If you're putting in floors, you're putting in floors. If you got to replace all the window, I mean, it's the same process. If there's holes in the floors, you're still putting floors in because you were doing it before. So it just looks worse. And so I try to explain that to even new investors that want my help, is that don't get scared about it. It's still the same process, just, like you said, don't get overwhelmed. Just take it step by step, or room by room, and just go through that process. And it's not that bad.
Right.
But again, for some people it is. So if you put me in computer programming, I'd freak out. So.
Yeah. I mean, if you've never done it, get an agent to take you by 3 bank-owned properties that look pretty rough, and just find out what there is to see and look at, what questions you have.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So a lot of times if I'll have like new investors want me to help them or they got questions, I'll just tell them, I just bought this house. Come on over. We'll walk through it and you can ask me questions about it. So they can kind of get comfortable when they go out and look at houses to buy.
Very cool. So what does the future hold for you as your business? So what does your business consist of now, as far as who's working in it and what their roles are? And then are you going to keep it that way, or are you going to, grow it? What are you planning on doing?
I will grow it a little bit, but I'm not, I don't want a big business. Want a lot of rental properties. So our next hire is going to be, somebody that can help us in-house property manage. And then do anything else we need on the real estate stuff. But first property management, and then helping with other things with wholesales or flips, that kind of stuff. And then we might get somebody else to help us, with either some sales of homes, or maybe some acquisitions. But, really, the guy that works with us right now, I mean, he could triple what he's doing and we can still do it. So if you're really good at what you're doing, you can handle a lot of work with these houses. So you don't need 10 people out there working for you. You just need really good quality people working for you. So we'll grow some number-wise people, but our numbers will grow a lot because we can get a lot out of us. So.
Right. Yeah. Because you're not doing it super quickly for the sake of growing, Right?
That's right.
It's like when it needs to fit what your business is doing. So you got to see Flip Pilot the other day. Not a lot of people have seen that. That's our new CRM for anybody listening that's not aware of Flip Pilot, the CRM system that we're going to be releasing as a beta in September. But would you mind sharing your thoughts on that system? And I can always edit, right? If you didn't like it, I'll just cut this part out.
It's like the worst system I've ever seen. And it took me like 2 years on him and telling me 2 weeks. But I was a pest, because I knew that you have been working on this product for 2 years, and it was put a lot of time and a lot of money in it. And I know that you're in the same business that I'm at, and I know how you've thought, and I know how you do think. And so I said, man, before I get a better system, I need to see what Danny's system is, because it's probably going to be better than what's out there. Because what's out there to me isn't really that great. And I've looked at everything and nothing just really is that great. And I was like, kind of went back to, well, do I just go hire a programmer and just say, here's what we want, and spend the extra money to get exactly what I want? But again, I come back, oh, let me wait the 2 weeks, turn into 2 years for Danny. But I tell you what I did see is I saw a very, well-polished system, even though you're not done with it. And even though there's a lot of stuff that's going to come in a second version that we talked about, right? Because you can't keep building without getting it out there.
Right.
But what it does do, in a lot of ways, was very amazing to me that you put that much thought into it, and that it does do that for the value of what you are potentially going to charge on it, right? I know that's not set, but even what we talked about, I mean, it's a value. If you look at it, how we talked about how we looked at it, you look at the different parts of it and what it can do if you utilize it. But it's like anything else. If you don't utilize it, it's not worth it. But if you actually utilize the program, it'll make you tenfold on what you would actually pay for the system. So I'm really excited to get that up and running. So
2 weeks.
I know it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's gonna be like first of the year. 2 weeks.
You know where I learned that, right?
The movie Money Pit.
Well, that and just contractors in general. 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I learned that when I was a little kid watching Money Pit. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So.
That's for the bigger jobs. The smaller jobs, they just say 1 week.
Yeah, 1 week or 2 days. Give me a couple more days. Oh, okay. I can see that you got a week left, but okay. So,
But they want the draw now. But well, awesome. I enjoyed sitting with you and showing you the system, and super excited to be releasing it. For anybody that's listening that wants to get more information on that system and find out the exact features and stuff that we're including in it, just go over to flippilot.com and enter there your email address, and then you'll be able to get access to that. And we'll send you stuff as soon as we release it. And we're sending a lot of stuff out now because we're going to do the beta in September. But you can also go to the Flip Pilot Facebook group to find out more. But Dave, did you want to share anything else on the podcast, the listeners?
I could probably talk for another 2 or 3 hours, but
all right, let's go.
we'll get some more of them in. So, but
yeah,
it's good for now.
Awesome. It's a great show. I appreciate you being on. And for anybody listening that wants to get a hold of you for anything, is there a way that they can find you or reach you?
Sure. You can reach me at 210-632-1432.
All right. Brave man putting his phone number out there for the world.
That's right.
All right, Super Dave. Well, I appreciate it again, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Danny.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, you too.